Vettel didn't really do what Max has done in the last couple of years in terms of Horner should go. Pretty much overseeing the kind of fracture within the team, and Red Bull and the entire board backing him through and throughout the entire situation. And I think that is where the difference comes in.
So
Red Bull went, the Red Bull board has gone to every extent to please Max, right?
Yeah, ridiculously so, yeah.
Yeah. And they would look like complete jokers when Max leaves, which would happen. So Austrian Grand Prix, this is the checkpoint for Max Verstappen and his exit clause activation with Red Bull.
Yeah.
So again, there have been a lot
June 30th to be exact, right? As far as I'm
it's
aware.
not really necessarily date, it's the race. The end of race is your trigger point.
I think his is June 30th specifically, though.
Okay. Could be then that's the Monday. That's the Monday after the race, right?
From what I've heard, because I think it was the same last year as well. It was like June 30th every year. Okay. I think because they just picked an easy, like that's halfway point of the year as opposed to halfway point of the season. So it just made more sense.
Yep.
So
true.
Who knows? So we don't. That's what I've heard.
Right. Makes sense. But it makes sense, right? So the Austrian Grand Prix is going to be the one. And again, if the rumors were that they were selling a stake of the Racing Bulls they were offering the stock of Racing Bulls as one of the options. Then there have been rumors that the Thai shareholders, they are going out of their way to increase whatever they are paying him, make it some very exorbitant amount. Now all these things are going on. I'm not entirely sure if any of this will be enough to sell Max on the Red Bull dream, but that's where they are. And then this weekend they're also bringing significant upgrades. Again, this will be their second major upgrade. They're also going to reduce the weight. There's still 6 kgs that they have to reduce now. So again, you can expect improvement in terms of overall performance. But the thing is, if you're Max Verstappen, again, I'll break it down into 3 questions. First is, do you think he should leave Red Bull?
I mean, I would, because this is the best Red Bull is going to be for years, I think. Like this is the season where like a lot of preparation's gone into it. You've got Pierre Vacher still. Everything's kind of been built up. The new engine did well. Like everything's there. But like staff are starting to bleed. People are starting to leave. Horner's going to be back soon. You're going to have more people bleed out of there. And even without Horner coming back, you're going to have McLaren, as you've already had, and Mercedes, as you'll see, and Ferrari all starting to pick because they'll know, right, this is a new organization. People are now starting to decide, do they want to stay? And this is the perfect time to yank them out, because those people in Milton Keynes were loyal to one man, and that man is now gone. So the question is, will they switch loyalties to the board or not? And this is like, some of them, sure. But if you're a poacher, this is the ideal time to pull someone out of that situation. Because you can go, look, you did everything already. The main guy's gone. We can offer you more money.
There aren't many left
experience.
either, right? There's
of
only...
the top guys, very few.
Hannah Schmitz is left, that's it. But other than her, I don't even know who else is there.
The good news for Red Bull is, like, Milton Keynes was built in a way where like the ladder was kind of always there. So like people are properly trained, they're properly all working together. So like as long as that stays, it should be fine for a while. But it's just, you're in a rebuilding phase no matter what, right? So like I
think for Red Bull it's going to be a disaster if Max leaves. If he stays, they can maybe galvanize the entire team around him and then maybe start rebuilding. Because if he stays, it's a vote of confidence. That could lead to more sponsors, more money coming in, and then them starting to build everything up again.
Sure. Yeah, maybe.
But if he's leaving, then that's it. I think at that point, you're going to see major fracture within the team. A lot of people are going to leave.
If he stays, I still think you're just prolonging the inevitable. Like, I don't know.
That would be there. No, I agree with you. That would be there. But
my
at
problem
the end of the day, you have to... it's better to have Max in the team than not having Max in the team. Is what I'm saying.
Like, and if Max stays, that probably pushes things forward maybe a year or so more, right? To where some of the bigger guys will stick around. Pierre Vacher will be as embedded. There won't be all, like all this stuff.
Exactly.
So fine. Long term though, it's the inevitable, because I just think like I just haven't seen any proof that a board can run a Formula One team, and Red Bull under Mekies is so obviously run by the board in the same way that Ferrari is, because whatever the board seems to want and the corporate vision that they want and like that, Mekies seems to be fully behind that, in like, oh, we're not doing anything, we're not like pushing other people, we're not going to shit on other teams. And it's like, if this is F1, man, it's part of the game, like you do it. So as long as he's in charge, I just don't know if it's good. And it's not because of him, it's just he represents the board. I'm not trying to shit on him. It's just like you need someone who the board just gives full confidence to and leaves alone. And Mekies doesn't feel like that guy to me, because he's not proven. Like, he hasn't won any titles himself. So the board is always going to question him until he does that. So I don't know. I just don't buy it. I can't. And I don't think Max stays there, because why? What does he want to do there? Like build it up again? I don't know.
So
maybe.
What are the pros of staying at Red Bull for him?
Money.
And because let's be fair, he's going to get a decent amount of money wherever he goes, and right? Yeah, so that's not going to be a concern.
Well, yes. But the other thing Red Bull does have is, like, in other sports, Red Bull is willing to back you in other
Precisely
things
my
when he goes
point.
elsewhere.
Yeah, that's
help.
what he gets.
Yeah. But then again, you could say the same about 3 or 4 other top teams as well. Like, depending on what sport you wanted to go to.
I don't think any other team will allow him to have this level of freedom.
No, I think they would. I think they would.
Not at all.
I
Not
really
a chance.
do.
I don't think Mercedes allows him to do such stuff. I'm 100% sure McLaren won't. Neither would a Ferrari. Forget about it. They're not going to let him. The reason is very simple. Mercedes hasn't won a title in the last 4 odd years, right? So they would have him. They simply think there's a very simple thing. Focus completely on winning us the championship first. Once you've done that, then go ahead and do whatever the fuck you want. For now, the primary focus is you need to give your entire commitment to the team. If you cannot do that, then fine, leave. In that case, you're not needed.
I disagree on McLaren and Mercedes. I agree with Ferrari. I could see Ferrari making that demand. I just don't think.
Okay.
I don't think Mercedes or McLaren do. I think they let him.
McLaren won't.
I think McLaren let him.
McLaren doesn't let Lando do that, and Lando has revealed that he has asked for it.
Okay,
he's a world champion.
Yeah, maybe not. Let's see if that changes. Maybe, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I would have. Yeah.
Because look, the freedom that he gets right now, it's because he has all the leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Red Bull has been consecutively in the last few years, it has been slowly getting worse, and Max has been dragging the car to results that maybe other drivers won't. So the leverage and the entire, you can say, the power in the relationship is towards the driver.
Well,
so whatever the driver will want or demand, he'll get. That's what's happening.
The bigger thing, I think, is that, like, I'm sure people like Vacher know to a certain extent that, like, it's not even just Max dragging it. It's that, like, their entire philosophy and their way of building a car has been based around the fact that you can put it so on the limit in a certain direction that is aerodynamically more efficient, in terms of, like, you want it to drive like someone's flying a fighter jet, basically, just fling it into corners. Like, that's the most aerodynamically efficient way to build it. And Max can deal with that, whereas most other drivers can't. So if you lose Max, even if you bring in a top tier talent, it's a year or two of making that driver comfortable with whatever the car is. So, like,
or it'll change the car philosophy in that case.
Completely, yeah. But that will take a year or two. So no matter what happens,
it will take a year at least. Yeah.
At least, yeah. And if Max goes, the other thing I can think is, if Max goes and the car starts, like, you have, say, Hajar there, right, who's a great driver, and you bring Lindblad in, who's a great driver, or you bring a top tier talent in who's a great driver, right? What's going to happen is, while they're kind of adapting to the car, if you have a driver who's performing like Hajar is right now, which is respectable, but not what Max can do, you know where that blame gets lent then. It goes on Vacher. So then Vacher leaves, and then you're in even more shit. Because who do you bring in?
Vash is not
Eggington?
going to be there anyways, I think. I think he's there for a year at max. I don't really see him staying beyond that.
I also do
A
think
lot
if Horner picks a team, Vache is going to be one of his first picks that he wants over
Probably.
with him.
Because a lot of times I've seen there have been these indirect digs, right, at Vache from Max. And I don't think I think it's become a point. Look, Red Bull is Team Verstappen, and he can come up and say anything. He can be very, what's the word? Very aggressive and very, very harsh when it comes to whatever he says. And he can get away with it. But the thing is, a lot of people, they won't be listen. They would listen to it when they're winning, but they won't listen to it when even things are not going well, and it just becomes an added source of pressure. So let's see. Okay, in case Max is going to leave Red Bull, right? First of all, is it something that would count against him in terms of loyalty, because of the kind of loyalty that Red Bull has shown towards him?
I don't think so, just because it's the normal, it's kind of the normal run of things. Like, even look at Vettel, did his time at Red Bull, got them to the championships, and then went to live out another dream. And it's kind of just the accepted route, and like, it's very strange for a driver not to do that. So I'm not really,
But Vettel didn't really do what Max has done in the last couple of years in terms of Horner should go. Pretty much overseeing the kind of fracture within the team, and Red Bull and the entire board backing him through and throughout the entire situation. And I think that is where the difference comes in.
So
Red Bull went, the Red Bull board has gone to every extent to please Max, right?
yeah,
And
ridiculously so, yeah.
yeah. And again, they would look like complete jokers when Max leaves, which would happen. I mean, you and I both agree on that. It's just that does it raise questions about loyalty of Max?
Do you mean for another team looking at Max in terms of that? As in, like, would another team question his loyalty?
Couple of ways to look at it. First of all, it shows a very transactional nature for Max, where as soon as things are not working fine, he jumps the ship. Secondly, it also shows that it doesn't matter how to what extent you go for him in terms of trying to facilitate him in whichever way possible. Still, it comes down to one very simple thing. You just need to give him the fastest possible car. If that's not there, then he's off, which makes it very, very, you can say, on one side it is very demanding. On the other, the driver also becomes a source of tension within the team, because if the car is not good, and the driver is the first person who starts complaining instead of galvanizing the team with him, that's also something that can be, again, team bosses will look at it and question if that is the right approach.
Yeah, I think that part, I think most team bosses, if they're looking to win a championship, will kind of, not that they'll completely overlook it, but I think some of them will just see it as that's just part of the sport with some drivers. Like, some of the top drivers just react that way. And there's other top drivers like Schumacher in the past who will go the opposite direction of pulling the team together when things go bad, and you just decide whether that's what you want.
That's
or
what you want or not.
Yeah. And I don't think that's a huge... I really think the bigger issue is that nobody outside of people with Dutch flags in their bios or Verstappen at their end of their name believes for 1 second that the Verstappen management team and Jos had nothing to do with Christian leaving. Like, there's anyone who's like, oh no, Jos and Vermeulen had nothing to do with it. You either have a Dutch flag in your bio or you're an idiot. It's one of those two things, right? Because there's
probably the later.
It can be both. You can be both at the same time. Like, I'm not insulting the entire Dutch population. I can understand confirmation bias. And if you're Dutch, you want to believe that your Dutch person did everything nicely. And like, you support I get that. You support your own country, right? I personally wouldn't. I think there's a lot of Irish idiots. Conor McGregor's one of them. But the point is, I think everyone knows that they, at the very least, had a hand in it. And the question is, how big of a hand? It's not like... Yeah. If you think they had nothing to do with it, you're just an idiot. I'm sorry, but they definitely did. Like,
of course.
So the question is, how big of a hand? And the reason I bring that up is, I think it would be utterly stupid if you were a team boss not to consider that for a moment. Because, for example, if you're Zach Brown, you know how hard it was to go from the back to the front, basically. And you know how hard it is even now, or like, you know, after you've just come off championships, to try and win again when things change. And how quickly things can fall behind and then come up again. And to you, like, if you're Zach Brown, you got that leverage for so long because, you know, you were kind of showing progress. And even when there's dips, you kind of were able to sell it for a year or two and keep going. Yeah. Do you really want to be in a situation where you have a guy at your team that the moment there's a downfall, his whole management team is threatening that he'll leave and fuck up everything if you don't get things together within 6 months, which is, in Formula One terms, impossible.
Exactly.
So there's going to be a part in the back of your mind, if, like, maybe not Toto Wolff. He might be the exception because he'll think, it's my team. I won't fall to that. But Zach Brown will certainly consider it. Fred Vasseur will fucking consider it if he needs to, because he works for Ferrari. And yeah, that, like, I just think any team boss, maybe other than Toto Wolff, will consider that, because you're not going to want to lose your job because Max is unhappy one weekend.
Yeah.
So I think that was, I said it at the time and I stick by it. I think Jos getting involved in that situation was fucking stupidity, and it's going to damage his son's career one way or the other. I think it already has, because I think in 2024 and 2025, Max could have easily decided to jump ship then without looking bad. He could have said, you know what, I've done my job here. Thank you, everyone. I'm leaving, and looked all right. But instead he went, fire him and we'll stick around. And now you've stuck yourself with that view young people will have.
Basically.
Yeah. So I think that was a bad decision. That to me, I think we'll think about more.
Adding on to the whole hurting his career, where do you think Max goes now? Or where do you think Max can go? Because ultimately the thing is, that's why I went through this segment. Because ultimately the problem is, okay, fine, Max should leave Red Bull. Fine. Yeah. The loyalty and everything would not be questioned. But there's a major question here. Where the fuck would he go? Now tell me, where do you think he goes?
I've been pretty adamant this year that so far I think now Mercedes is off the table. I just don't think Toto's going to want him there. And I think you might agree with me on this, but I haven't seen anyone else who agrees with me on this. I think everyone else is like, no, Toto will just take him, no problem. And I'm like,
so they had a conversation in Monaco, as in they had a chat in Monaco, as in not the Monaco Grand Prix, but they met in Monaco. Basically, they stayed at the same place. So they've had a conversation. I'm not entirely sure which way it went or whatever, but they've been in talks. Now, what it turns into, I'm not sure. So I did a 20-odd minute segment with Damien as well regarding the whole thing. And again, he's very adamant, but Verstappen fans are going to be adamant about Max moving on and being available for any team.
I think the majority thinks Mercedes, though. I think the majority think Mercedes.
Yeah. I think what's going to happen is there's going to be two options, maybe three options if the Aston Martin package is something that turns heads after whatever the Hungary upgrade is going to be. So 2 or 3 options possibly on the table. There's Mercedes, there's McLaren, and there's possibly Aston Martin. These are the 3 options that are there. Toto has one issue, and I think we've talked about it a bit earlier, that when it comes to predicting which team is possibly going to challenge him or end Mercedes' reign, I don't think he looks at Ferrari as that team. I think he looks at McLaren as the team that can potentially do that. Mm-hmm. And for the second time in his life or in his F1 career, he does not want to push Max away towards a rival that comes back to bite him in the ass. Yeah. GP has already joined McLaren. And if the offer is on the table from McLaren, first of all, the McLaren offer is not going to be as lucrative as whatever a Red Bull or a Mercedes is going to offer. But it's still potentially a team with which Max can win.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Will Toto try to prevent something like that happening? I think that is the only scenario in which the Max Mercedes things happen.
The question in Toto's mind is going to be like, what's more important? Winning championships with Antonelli and having a long, fruitful career with Antonelli, or stopping Max going to McLaren. And I still
I
think,
think winning championship is what's the most important thing, right?
but with Antonelli, not just
I don't think
winning
he care.
championships.
I don't think he'll care with whom he wins.
I
It's
think
about
right now
winning,
he
right?
does.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think he still wants to prove something with Antonelli though, and I think that's.
I think it's already proven, right? At 19,
Sure,
he's
but I
already.
mean, it's-
Kimi is going to be a world champion, multiple
Yeah.
world champion by
The
the
question is when.
probably
but,
this
like,
year.
Could well be, but like, this is where I'm getting to though. Like, if let's say like it really comes down to a few things, but like if Antonelli continues the way he has been, which he is likely to get better, I just don't think you put Max alongside him. And you're right. The one thinking point that he's going to stick out to is like, where does Max stay? But even that, like, Toto's Austrian and pragmatic, right? So he's going to think to himself, this is a guy who has...
Austrians leading German outfits in being
Yeah.
pragmatic in history has been.
No, they have been pretty pragmatic. It's just they lose eventually, much like Mercedes did. So, you know, the reign comes to an end. Weirdly, they were beat by the British as well, which is interesting. But anyway, and the Dutch. Yeah. But anyway, what was my point here? Oh yeah, my point is, I think you're right that if he could pick up sticks and go to McLaren, because I think Ferrari's off the table anyway, like relatively.
Yeah.
Sure, that will make him think about it. But if McLaren over the next couple of months, like before Max makes a decision, lock Max out, if they're like, right, we're not interested in Max, or if Max just flatly doesn't want to go to McLaren, then I just, apart from that,
There's
I can't
no
see
option,
any other
right?
way.
Exactly.
I just don't see him going there. I personally don't see the Mercedes thing happening now, but we'll see.
I think that's the whole deal, right? Because if Max says, okay, fine, I'm leaving Red Bull, where is he going? And that's basically the whole crux of the entire segment here. Because fine, Max would not want to stay at Red Bull, but with whatever has happened in the last year or so and how much he's dragged the whole thing, and now where he is in terms of his career, Mercedes has Kimi George in the team. George, if he ends up winning the championship this season, maybe next year he might not. Who knows what happens? But there's also another problem. I think it has become far more evident this season that Toto is finding it a bit hard to manage Kimi, because Kimi during races and now as his confidence continues to grow, he's becoming a bit of a tough cookie when it comes to races and listening to stuff.
Yeah.
And if you have a driver lineup with Kimi and Max in the same team, Max hasn't listened to any team boss since he started racing, since Joss, and then you put Kimi next to him. That's a radioactive driver lineup.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, that's the problem. You cannot. The thing is, there is too much risk putting together a Kimi Max lineup now, and I'm not sure where Max goes from here.
I also think you've got Max's management in that garage, and from what I've heard as well, like Antonelli's dad is no picnic either to deal with. Like he's going to be pretty. Like
He's
not
also
that
a
he's
racer,
a bad
right?
guy, but like not that he's a bad guy, but like if you get a Jos Verstappen showing up demanding for stuff, you're gonna have Antonelli's dad right there alongside him, like pushing
Yeah, but
back.
again, that's where you can actually bank on Toto, because Toto will not let that kind of thing fly where one driver gets, because he's not going to disadvantage Kimi in any
But
which
then
way.
that goes back to my old thing, right? Of like, at what point then does Horner? At what point then does Jos Verstappen and Vermeulen and the Max machine behind him start trying to go over Toto's head? Like that's going to be in his mind. He's going to think, I own the team, but
Okay,
I mean, if you can get rid of Horner,
Yep.
I mean, you know,
Yeah,
like
100%.
I really think that's going to be a huge sticking point for him as well. But let's see. For the record, I hope he does go to Mercedes alongside Antonelli, and I will be
That would
smiling
be the
if
greatest
that.
season for us, by the way. The
I'll be
greatest,
so happy.
best possible season.
I don't mind being wrong, but this will be one situation where I'll be happy to be wrong.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it happening now.
Yeah.
So
To cap it off, I think if there is a move from Max, it is towards McLaren, not Mercedes. If there is a move.
Imagine if Lando beats Verstappen at McLaren now. That'll make the internet. You know what? Either of those situations will be fucking hilarious for us. So,
But yeah,
yeah. That's,
we'd be the lucky ones, right? But
yeah.
yeah, I think
Lando v Max at the same team or Kimi v Max at the same team.
wow.
Either or. Be
Yeah.
interesting. Because
Yeah.
I think Max will beat Lando. I'm not like I do think that.
100%.
But I think it will be interesting to see how many people go, Lando's better than I thought. You know, over the course of a season.
a lot of it's going to happen with everyone, right? Again, but you know how this goes, right? 2-week periods.
Yeah.
So last 2 races, if there are 2 races where Lando beat Max, then Max is washed. Then if the whole thing changes, then again the same.
That won't be no. It'll be McLaren are clearly favouring Lando.
Oh yeah,
That's-
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the British bias. How can we forget that?
Of course, yeah.
Zach Brown is doing to Max what Ron Dennis did to Alonso.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
In that case, he's going to stick to Red Bull, right? I don't think there's
Yeah.
any which way. Practically thinking, I don't think there's any other home for Max. That's my concern. Yeah, you're right.